looking for grievances.
He was really pushing with them over the years, but
Some farms are pretty confident, so we didn't have any of those issues. But no, so that's all worked out, so it's kind of like a whole fresh start for everything, contracts included, so.
it's like how many headaches.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Tell you what, it wouldn't
Also,
burn.
I mean,
When I was up there,
it's one
that
thing.
contract had a negotiation, it was with
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah.
It's another thing.
Yeah.
Enough
But
people at this table.
Yeah.
I
Like-
sat
John,
on the opposite
it
side.
says,
Paint
it
makers.
says
Yeah, that's what I know.
December
That's
26th.
what I know.
It says,
It's
so that it was cut off on the
Yeah.
31st.
Oh, I believe it.
There was
Yes.
some, pretty high tense people.
I just didn't know, and that's
Yeah,
what
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You know how it is,
From
though.
last
You
year,
start talking
because
about
we
money.
just started in January,
All that
so
stuff,
it's not really gonna be much in here.
It tends to get cheap, Frank.
Yeah, no, that I didn't need.
I get it to some degree, but.
Okay.
Maybe
Well,
I jumped the gun a little bit.
I'm gonna say we've all together.
We're running as soon whenever you're ready.
I don't know if it was.
Because we never really had any major, we never,
It's a little different.
Well, I don't know.
which is almost our, even, I mean, I know.
Then it seems here, it says revised
If he's
on
settled
23.
scores,
They've gone several
I'm
times.
not really sure.
And
If you guys
we
want
was
to
just
do
always
last year's,
on
that would be
between
fine.
us and
Yes,
Thor,
please.
we all some kind of-
Right.
Where-
You must know this.
Yes,
please.
arbitration, but we don't-
I don't know exactly
don't do
what
it.
it's.
You know what I mean? We've all, my whole career, we've never had anybody go, wow. we're just gonna go
Well, I was, when I was,
Not to say it won't someday, right? But I don't know if I'll see it my time here. Not
since
that,
he got.
not this, a lot of the same people stay in,
He just wanted people.
which is good.
That's a good report, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I agree.
I would say, I think it's
So,
six
and I actually
months.
did contracts for years.
Business interest transferred to immediate family.
Wow, 15 years.
I didn't see that.
I'll be honest, I wasn't upset to get out of it. But the same though, we never really had any.
You know, just stuff that makes me.
What is the cost?
They wanted to pay,
Okay.
they wanted more, that's, so there was always somewhere, we always.
And no one has ever checked.
Somewhere in the middle. You know, so
It's
it worked
only
out
a
good
Thursday.
for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, not every farm can say that,
No.
you know.
You're right, not everybody can say that.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think it's one person.
that's all it
Set
takes.
the apple cart.
You're right.
I don't know. You're right. But,
Good for you.
Yeah, so it works out pretty good.
it's still ongoing, but that part of it, Orlando was the one that they did go with.
Are you guys ready? Number two. So hopefully nothing's hard, and there's gonna be a tiebreaker. Then we have to defer to another time.
I'll be shocked.
Well, no. Stand for disagreement.
Yeah.
That's ever happened. Okay, let's call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nothing on the review sheet for public participation. Approval of the minutes for the December 12th, 2022 meeting. I didn't see anything that was,
No, they look pretty accurate to me. I'd make a motion with approve.
I'll second them, all in favor? Aye. Approval of the reorganizational meeting from January 3rd. My one area of concern, I talked to Robert Hefner to be on the zoning hearing board. He wants to stay the alternate, so we're still looking for a permanent member.
Okay.
I mean, we have enough if there was a hearing, but I'm working on that now, so I would say he's still the alternate. You want to change that?
Absolutely.
That's what he'd prefer. Have one more option for the zoning hearing board,
Okay.
or he might have to be the permanent. He said he would if need be. So other than that, I see everything seems to be under, looks okay,
As we discussed.
as we discussed.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it, all with them, that one little change.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, code enforcement. I don't see anything there that's asking for questions or comments.
had a chance to talk to Jeff. I don't know if anybody has any questions on that stuff. I could probably answer them. I don't think there's anything that we need to go over. I think he was gonna.
I think we're in pretty good shape. How's he doing?
Good. I think he was planning on coming to next meeting.
Good.
Sam, do you know if anything was done with 330 mine?
Yep.
He was, oh, I'm sorry.
Talk to him today.
Okay,
He'll be contacting Jeff next week
gotcha.
for a final inspection.
Okay,
So
all right. Thank you.
we will have a resolution there.
I make a motion that we accept the report. Or do you have any other questions?
No, I'm good on that. I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. The SEO report. We didn't get the SEO report, did we?
That was the one that did not come in.
Okay, yeah. So we can just report there. Virginville Fire Company report.
We did not get Virginville Fire Company report.
And Walnut Town. We have Walnut Town.
Walnut Town we have, yes.
So I see that's fine. Do I have any questions there?
No, the statistics.
One thing I'm gonna request from them, Walnut, Virginville sends me a monthly update with their finances. Every month. It's really nice to look at that and just keep a set of eyes on that.
Yeah.
What they were required, I'm gonna have to ask that at Walnut Town. Just so we can see a set of eyes on it, because it's enlightening. Okay, police report, chief.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'll spare you details of the significant incidents. If anyone wants to read it, it's available to you. I'll just go over the activity recap for Richmond. 192 patrol hours. We handled 147 incidents for December, 19 crash investigations, issued 10 traffic citations, 2 non-traffic arrests. We completed 7 hours of traffic checks, 22 hours worth of paperwork, 24 traffic stops. My criminal investigator did 24 hours of follow-up for the township and 1 hour of court time. And the other thing I have is the new full-time officer, Officer Troyer, has started as of January 1.
Does that fill your vacancies?
It does. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks for the report. Does anybody else have questions? Nope. Sounds like a plan. All right, old business. The review of the speed analysis from Eagle Road. Did you have a chance to review it? Did you see it? The traffic?
I didn't
Both ways?
see anything since the,
We had the northbound, the southbound's pretty similar.
okay.
I think I have both of them in your envelope.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Jim. They're pretty close.
Yeah, it looks like the median average is right where it's posted.
Which if you go back to when the original study was, I think that brings the speed at that time up probably about 3 miles per hour or so, because it was about 38, 39 miles per hour, which gave it reason to stay at the 40 miles per hour. Which it looks like this would be about the same in this situation.
It looks like that supports that.
They're amazingly consistent between north and south. Huh?
They are.
Yeah.
There's one at 66 to 70 miles an hour. I don't even know how you get up that fast. I'm sure they can do it.
I have some questions, Brian,
Go ahead.
because we're the ones that brought this
Yep,
up.
yep.
So you posted the device, good idea, the chief. Appreciate that. How many cars did it track over how long a period of time? Was it a week on each side? Was it 10 days?
1,401 vehicles for the southbound side between December 6th and December 13th. Northbound from the 12th to the 20th was 1,346 vehicles.
Okay. when you speak to an individual or a car or truck, whatever it was that was doing 65, 70, what were you saying?
61 to 66 to 70.
Okay. What
That
time was that?
One. I don't know. I'm sure I could find it. Here.
Which one was it, 66 to 70?
Yeah, on the southbound side. I don't know that I have that individual speed here as a time wise.
So who else was over? I'm assuming he ain't the only one, or she ain't the
So
only
there's
one.
here. You know what? I don't mind sharing this stuff with you. You can have my copies.
I was gonna put a FOIA request in. but
No.
It's not necessary.
This is not necessary. There's north and
Appreciate it.
southbound side. That's all the information that we got. But it will show you the times and then here's the speeds. And here's the 66 to 71 and 61 to 65 and then
Okay.
all down through there.
So,
Yeah, and then it'll show you the average.
close.
So-
Okay, appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Just a comment, like the speed limit on that road to and from either direction, whether north or south, it is 40 miles an hour. Okay, so 452 people violated the speed rules, right, or speed limit.
Yeah,
That's
anything above that.
designated on that road. That's just at 41 to 45. 46 to 50 was 230 people. That's significant. One person's significant. You know, if he or she causes an accident or kills somebody, right? I mean, the majority of the people, 450, 230, that's 682, right?
Yeah.
62, or 744, 752,
It's
354,
it's a sizable number.
754. 754 people violated the speed rules, or the speed limit, right? Right. Compared to 579,
About half of them.
right, are in violation of law. That's significant.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure that's pretty much a lot of places. I mean, the cops just can't patrol, but that's a good thing for Chief Olshafer to.
Yeah, so I have the data, obviously, but I think what's also important to remember with that is, 40 mile an hour, we're not gonna start enforcement efforts at the very minimum 10 over, right? My judge won't even take a ticket for less than that. So my enforcement starts at 51 mile an hour, basically. So if you break it down for enforcement purposes, we have correct me if I'm wrong, is it 62 and 45?
72 over in a week period.
Not bad.
So for enforcement, I mean, for me, for my purposes, it's not a huge number of cars. Is there a problem with some of these people? Sure. But I understand what he's saying. I mean, anything over the speed limit is violation of law. However, for us to cite people, it's going to be 10, at least 10 over. So that
Have
puts
you
at
guys
50
been
mile an hour.
patrolling back there at all? Do you get
Yeah, they're aware of it. We don't have any lines back there, and at this point, we probably won't be able to put anything out till, I would say, probably spring now. But we're gonna have to find an area, as long as we have that 200 feet, whether if it's, I'm not sure if his driver would give us that, if he allowed it.
Yeah, I would allow it.
But if we have that 200 feet, then we'll put lines there. But that's what we're gonna have to do, which probably won't happen until spring, unless.
And I think even the lines would probably be a deterrent also.
Oh, they will be, yeah, because listen, we put the sign out, people see it, right? They may not understand what's going on with it, but they know it's there. We put lines up come spring, and we do some enforcement out there. I think we'll start to see some changes in it. But I mean, what I'm looking at here, the majority of the people, I mean, the averages they're giving is 40, 45. So it's within it's close to 40 mile an hour speed limit sign, but for enforcement purposes, it's not a ton of people. And I do agree, one person over
Right.
loses
One
control. I mean,
accident.
I don't want to try to sound like I'm, diminishing what he's saying.
What, as far as the term, you can't sit everywhere. And obviously, if they don't listen to the 40 miles an hour, they're not going to listen to the 35.
Right.
What deterrent is it for the speed limit sign that you had up that would actually flash the speed. Do you guys use that at all?
So we didn't do it this time because we were trying to collect data.
No, but I
Right.
mean,
Well, typically, yes. So typically what they do is, there's a couple different settings, but usually when it's in the borough, we have it actually illuminated. The only problem you see with that every now and again is people trying to beat their last score. Believe it or not, it happens, right? So, because it's how people are, right? Like, well, I did 60 last night, I can do 63, and they're filming it and they're sending their buddies. You're never gonna prevent that. But typically in the borough, it does show your speed, so there is definitely a deterrence,
What is
component to that.
What does one of those machines cost?
John, I think I told you, I tell you.
Like 3 or 4,000, I think.
Yeah.
you said?
Don't quote me on it, I'm gonna say 3 or 4, maybe 4-ish. I talked to Jen about it when I said, I mean, I don't know if you have the funding for it, but I think it would definitely be worth having one in the township.
So is that self-contained or is it on a cart? I didn't drive by when it was up.
So what they do, they attach it to poles typically.
What are they, batteries?
solar?
Solar?
Those are not solar, those are battery, I believe.
It's probably one of the options you can get on.
There is a solar option,
Traffic count.
'cause I know
numbers, they do the
Ole-
Same thing.
yeah, Ole has one on Main Street coming into the borough, and that is solar powered.
Yeah.
So there's an option for it, and I don't know what the pricing is.
I was gonna say, I think we looked at the same, like you were saying, the price of just the box with your standard data, it's probably the same thing you have.
Right,
We were in the same range of that 35,
4,000.
4,000, so that's probably the good model that can get you just about everything you're looking for.
I mean,
But then
deterrence wise and data, for us, this was kind of big because, we have a gentleman that comes in and says, we have a problem, we're able to put something out, otherwise, what are your options? Try to set a cop there? It's, no one's got time to do that for a week. I mean, this is probably the most accurate you're gonna be able to get. So I think overall, in deterrence, you can't put a price on it, but I think it definitely helps. I mean, Ruska Manor has them. I know Ole has them. I mean, I think it's a pretty common thing, but they're a little salty at $4,000 if that's what they are.
I'm just talking out loud because we spend, our police budget is a lot.
Mhm.
Maybe it would be wise, maybe just to think about, I know a couple places that, I mean, my house, you see these speeds, I'm on Main Creek Road, same speed, I bet you they average 60 miles an hour. I mean, they're getting a runny to go up the hill and it's rough.
Okay, but you know what that is? That's wrong. Okay, they may be doing that, and you're probably right, Brian. But guess what? It's wrong.
Oh, it's,
Okay, if there's a speed limit on that sign and it says X amount of miles per hour and they violate it, they're wrong. Just like this.
100%.
I just did quick math, so maybe I'm off 1 or 2. 754 people violated the law. Whether they're a mile an hour over, and you can take it in front of the judge, chief, or not. 747, 7 people less, adhered to the law. Okay? Those people that violated, more than half, more than 50% are wrong. Okay? And there's where the problem. If you remember initially when I first came to this meeting, the question was, what defines a residential area? Okay? That was the issue. If it's a straightaway going down that rural road and there's no houses and there's no children and there's no people pulling out of their driveway, I'm not here. If my house sits back that dirt road, and I need 600 feet, I'm not complaining. My house sits along that road. It's the first one you get to on that turn, on that bend, and here's where the problem is. It's a residential area. There's people coming in and out of their driveway. There's children on bicycles. There's a lot of other bicyclists that hit that road, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's where the problem is. 12 homes, 0.3 of 1 mile. Is that defined as a residential area? Is it 2 miles? And say it is, okay? 12 homes in 2 miles.
I think you get into some different areas in boroughs and that where they even have a harder time trying to define what that residential area is, because it's a density for how long, and once you hit that, then you have the ability to post it. You still have the enforcement you have to deal with there, because you you might have that defined residential area, but then you're still having those long stretches where when you do the study, they're traveling 40 miles per hour. So is it safe to post it at 25?
And we gotta go by the
You're running
guidelines that they give us, because
Okay.
everybody wants them 30 miles an hour in front of their house, and that's just not gonna happen.
What's the Pennsylvania code speak to this? Is it in the Constitution?
That is what I'm going off of. I think it's the traffic portion of the state code. But that defined residential area is defined in the state code on how you can set that 25 mile per hour.
What is
That's
the
what I'm
definition of a residential area?
I'd have to,
I think it's in the vehicle code.
I think it's in the
And it is
vehicle,
based
thank
on density. It's the number of houses within a unit of length of street. But I don't know what the number is. And I don't have the vehicle code with me.
Like I said, we don't got time to waste coming to these meetings, okay? They're not a waste of time, don't get me wrong. On your end, you guys do a hell of a job. You're doing well by the people, and you're doing it for next to nothing. You're not involved in this for the money. I know that. I did that job, okay? You're doing it because you care. But we wouldn't be coming to this meeting just to bring up issues and waste people's time or our own time or your time, okay? This is passionate, or we're passionate about this. Our home sits right along that road. As I said, I've seen conflict. I've been involved in conflict myself. Before it gets to somebody being killed and it's on the record and there's a liability, I'm asking you to take a look at it and think about reducing the speed limit.
Well, I think
Okay.
that's what we did. We paid to have the study, and we're using the guidelines that are given to us by the state. Because if we use other guidelines, like in the past, then nothing's enforceable. They had speed limits at 25 miles an hour that were just randomly said, hey, we're going to make this speed limit 25 because so and so lives here and he wants people to slow down. You cannot enforce it at all. You can't. They can go 60 miles an hour and you can't. It's illegal. So we did a study throughout the whole township to make sure what we have is enforceable and following the guidelines of the state. And that's, I don't know if we asked Gary to do that with the residential density and make sure what we had is correct.
Right.
So that's,
From a labor standpoint, I got to guesstimate that your total loaded wage, benefits, wages, overtime, healthcare, defined pensions, got to be $60 an hour. Total cost per hour for a negotiated, collectively bargained employee up there. $3,600 to $4,000 for that machine, which is a deterrent. When I'm driving through the stretch of road from Dunkin' Donuts in Kutztown to Weiss, right? You all know that device, and it is a deterrent. And it makes you accountable just when you see your numbers. You're thinking, holy hell, is that me or is that the guy in front of me? Once he passes, oh my God, that's me. I'm violating the law, okay? That's 600 hours, right? That's $60 an hour is $3,600. Rather than put an officer there, you have that device there. People are being held accountable through what they're looking at, that device. You pay that one time, it's over. There is no time and a half on $60 an hour. That's the other thing that's part of the loaded wage. Time and a half equals $90 an hour, right? Et cetera, et cetera.
So that's what I'm thinking. I don't think we take it lightly. We're just trying to figure out what we can do that's within the law and still a deterrent. Because I think what happens too, I think the average person wants to do the right thing. They just go there and they're not paying attention when that flashes up. Even for myself, I'm like,
Get your attention.
yeah, I'm going a little fast here.
Sure.
So it might be something. And there's multiple locations we could use that.
Right.
Yeah, there's nothing negative about them. I mean, we used them in the borough because we get a lot in the borough because the speed limit's 35, which even I think is too much, especially when you start talking about enforcement. So we'll get a lot of the other flying on our street, 60, 70 mile an hour, so we hear. And so what we'll do is we'll take the device and put it up, and sometimes that's true, more times it's not. But it saves us from, when he does have a point. When you look at what it costs to put one of us out there, I mean, there's really not a comparison. It ends up paying for itself probably in the first year, I would think. you know?
You know, I made the comment, and Chris, you touched on this, right? Say you reduce the speed limit to 35, but the police don't have enough manpower or power, excuse me, I don't want to be offensive, whether you have female officers or
No,
not,
it's fine.
is where I'm going with this. But you still don't administer or don't have enough officers because they're at other places in the township or over in Fleetwood Borough, and they're unable to sit on Eagle Road for 24 hours. That's absurd to even ask for. Okay, so you reduce it to 35, but you still can't administer the law 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But that machine, I think, would be more of a deterrent to the speeder than the 35 if we can't always have an officer on that road. And that's not what we're asking for. We're realists here. We don't expect that. You know, you hire a guy and a half, I'd like them both to sit on either road, right?
Yeah.
That's not what we're asking for. But again, we take it serious. We've seen a lot of near misses on the road. It's part of the record now. Don't want to see anybody get hurt. Don't want to see anybody get killed. We brought it up. We're asking that you take it to the next step.
Yeah, we'll investigate that, I think, and see what we can find. So there's multiple locations
Sure.
that it would be helpful.
I wouldn't disagree with that at all.
So for what it costs, I mean, it is a lot of money.
Yeah, and another thing, I think the other thing
Total
too.
police budget.
Yeah, and I think right, and of course, money's always an issue, but I think, you know, especially in some of these roads in the township, without having radar, which we don't have, there's roads you'll never be able to do enforcement on. It's just because you need that 200 feet, you need someone to say, you can sit in my driveway, and you have to have 200 feet of clear visibility to enforce it. So his point to the deterrence that you put on some of these roads, most people don't understand that, right? They don't know if we're going to be there tomorrow or the next day or whatever. But putting that out there, maybe some of these roads that we have issues on, people are like, well, maybe I should slow down, but maybe they're getting serious about the speeding issue around here. So there's definitely something to be said about the whole deterrent thing.
I have a couple of questions. One, with the battery, if they're not solar powered, are they rechargeable? I'm trying to get a handle.
I'll be completely honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about them.
I haven't used those boxes in general, but the other ones you can use at the tooth counters. So you have that piece that's collecting the data, and you connect that to something that's stationary. Usually that has solar power. Even if it can't get solar, the batteries on those are usually good for a week or close to, so that you're getting at least 3 days collection. That's what
Okay,
they're.
what if you're flashing the number though? Does that take some more power, I would imagine?
I'd imagine some, but I would imagine the batteries they put in those things are probably good for a week or two.
I was going to say, I
Just
mean,
to
I know when
test that.
Fleetwood puts them out, they're not out there changing batteries all the time.
Yeah.
You know, the one that they have. I mean, that thing could be up for a week or two before, and that's constantly flashing.
Yeah, well, this wasn't solar, and it had a week of data on
All
it.
right,
So.
but I'm trying to get a handle on operating costs.
Well, 2 weeks, actually, it was 2 weeks.
If they're rechargeable batteries or they're solar powered, that's one thing. If it's something you have to buy another battery every month or every week, that's.
I'm going to say they're probably chargeable.
I think the batteries are about. I mean, I bet you they're at least 2 years by now. And I remember when I first started doing them, it was maybe every year you had to check in, but yeah.
But maybe Robbie could just do a little research on it.
Well, the other question I had was, who deploys these? Is it police department or is it road crew, or who deploys them?
For Fleetwood, it's typically the road guys that do it. They put them up, and there's a computer program. I think Chris Young does ours. He goes in and they do some configuring with it or whatever, and then they get the data. That's really all I know about it. I'm not an expert on them. I know the very basics about them.
Is this something, if you would consider that you would move, say, Brian, you brought up the individuals that cruise past your house doing 20, 25 miles an hour. Would you then move it from, say, Eagle Road after a period of time to your road? Or?
I think that would make sense to rotate it around the township.
Right.
Eagle Road, this road, Driveville Road,
Sure.
even Fleetwood Lions Road.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the parameters, I think there's some opportunity to get some benefit all the way around.
Is there any grant money out there for any of this stuff and attach it to policing or police services?
Not that I've seen for this, unless there's something on it, a different.
Yeah, I mean,
Different area.
the DA's office gives money sometimes for like jackets and I mean, if, for some equipment, but not this equipment. I've never seen this equipment on a grant list.
Like they helped us out with the body cams,
Right.
but it's, not this type of equipment is correct, not that I'm aware of.
Can you ask that for clarity?
Well, I mean, how frequently do you talk to the DA about opportunities to get equipment?
Well, I mean, there's a little bit more involved in that. I mean, they gave me, they're giving me $8,600, but that already puts me minus like 17,000 because they keep track of that.
You could maybe reach out to,
Because we're not getting a lot of drug, because it goes off for drug forfeiture money from what I understand. So
Yeah,
unless we're
that's
giving
the
them
source.
lots of money back, I mean, you could always ask,
and the other source I was thinking was Alan Piper, maybe at the county. He's their
Well,
traffic
that's
guy
true.
there.
I mean,
That
that's,
if there's money that somebody's aware of,
yeah, I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
he'd be the other one, at least on the municipal side
I've never
instead
seen that,
of the police. But
but it's.
I haven't
worth
seen it
asking.
either.
Yeah.
But
Either way, since we brought this up, I would guesstimate, Jen, you could probably look at the notes. It's probably been 6 months, right? So I appreciate the dialogue. We appreciate the dialogue, and you have taken this serious and it's been on the agenda every month. So it wasn't like we were blown off on any of this, and we never felt blown off. So out of respect, I appreciate all the dialogue that you guys allowed us. A lot of good conversation here. It's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And thank you.
No, thanks, Chief.
You're
Appreciate that.
And I think it's probably more exasperated in the summertime.
Yeah, we were saying that, out of all the time to put this thing up, we were putting it up in the winter.
Right.
Speed's probably down, but
Right.
you're right. But it is, again, 754 versus 747 that violated the law at 40 miles an hour, even if it was 1 to 5 miles an hour. Just from quick math, and it could be off a little bit.
Yeah.
I appreciate the.
So I think if Robbie has just a little time to look at, I'll research some of it too. Sometimes I see them up on Municipal bid and like the state has overage, options. I've seen them in the past. They have portable units that were relatively cheap. So it'd be cool just to have them for my driveway, but I didn't think it was $2,000 cool, but it was relatively. So if you can just see what you can find, Robbie, till next time, and I'll reach out to.
that's it. That Jamar is the name. I don't know if that's familiar to you, but I know they have all sorts of counting equipment. So I just know that's somebody we've used in the past, and that's all they do is that kind of stuff. So something like that.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Very
thanks.
excited.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Brian. Thanks a lot.
Okay, engineers report.
I think mine are just updates. The solar farm, they are at least eager to have a meeting to discuss what might be coming. We haven't heard anything scheduled, but they want to meet on Thursday to kind of discuss. They've got their plan and permits in place now, so.
All the permits issued.
I believe they just wrapped up this week.
Yes.
Is that what they said on
Yeah.
it? So.
Okay.
It'll be a fact-finding meeting, if nothing else, there to see where they're at. So that's all I can say on that one. Glad Tidings, they are looking to close up that project. And I think on these last two, Chris, you tell me if there's anything we need to do with the supervisors on this, but they had put in a short driveway. I think I told you this, out the parking lot to get kind of a second tier grass area. They provided information. They're within their permit with that area, and they show that it's graded. The problem is it's not necessarily a typical driveway you would have. So when we're moving towards closing the project, we've asked them to go into an agreement that in 2 years, if they don't look to expand that parking lot, they can take that out so it doesn't somehow become an issue. And it kind of stemmed from, they want to do that. They have plans and they have a sketch of it, but basically to grade off a further area in the back and adjust their pond to do so. I think when they do that, they're probably going to come and discuss a possible waiver of land development just to put the parking lot in, but I told them we can go down that road when they submit something, but
Well, are you recommending holding some escrow?
I think they could probably close out their escrow. At this point, they were really minor items they had to do,
Because
but
this 2-year deadline, I mean,
yeah, I think I would,
think that people are motivated to get their money back, and that gives them a reason to comply with that deadline.
so to that
To either
point,
come back to the board and ask for something different, or to remove it within that 2-year period. So, my
And we-
suggestion would be to not release a certain amount of money in order to have leverage with them to.
so we
comply
did
with
talk
this
about
2-year
that, Chris, and I brought that up with them. They said they would like to go towards posting like a cash security with the township to close out their escrow.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
threw out the
that's-
number of
that's fine.
about half the cost it took to construct it. So I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about $3,000 is what they're looking at. And it really is just a stone driveway that kind of goes up.
Well,
there. I
that's
think it's
enough
plenty
to
cover it.
Us, so that we don't forget about it, and they don't forget about it. So
Yeah.
I would be content with a motion from the board to release their existing escrow on the condition that they, before that release is effective, they would post a cash escrow of $3,000 to cover the removal costs of that driveway, and that they need to come back and talk to us about it within 2 years.
Do you need an agreement to come to that at all? Or,
Yeah, I guess there's nothing in the current improvements agreement that would cover this, is there?
not necessarily.
All right, well, I guess we probably ought to have a one-page agreement.
They were on board with this site. Chris and I spoke about it right around the time of last meeting, so I talked to them and they'd come back and said they'd be amenable to doing something along this line, so. Then I think if everybody likes Chris's motion, it's,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to what Chris has recommended.
A second.
All in favor?
so I think that we'll probably be looking at that last escrow release at the next meeting.
All right,
How
so
much is left in the escrow?
I think it's less than 50 or 40,000 at this point in time.
Okay.
They just had punch list kind of little things to do, and then this driveway got installed in the meantime. I think they needed some extra parking, and that's
Well, which is
They use it.
the
a
quickest
good
way.
thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about checking it out myself.
is there any kind of sketch or anything that, or even a photograph, something that we could use as an exhibit to this agreement that
Yeah.
shows the area involved?
When I asked them to show that they weren't exceeding their permitting, they had a couple shots taken out there to just add it to their as-built drawing. So that's part of their as-built. So it's right on there, and I can send that to you.
Yeah, if you could make it like just a 8.5 by 11 piece of it that shows that area, that's what I would like to have as an exhibit to the agreement.
Okay. Will do. And then other than that, Desco had an approved plan from quite a long time ago. And I looked back at the minutes in April, and we had come through with discussion on this. They had improvements that were never completed because they did some of the site work, but not the building work. What the board approved in April was to amend the approval to require updated financial security and improvements agreement, as well as stormwater management with an escrow and filing of as-built for compliance. I think they're looking at around a 40,000 escrow to be posted to complete the work that they have. It's mostly the building at this point. They did the bulk work of their site improvements in ENS and stormwater. But they just reached out and said, hey, we're looking to move forward with that again. So I think what we have is in place, but we just have to finalize those agreements, get that
So-
security posted
I know we talked about this
April,
8 months
so it was a
ago.
little while ago.
All right, so their plan was recorded.
It was, but the escrow, I think, had just been extinguished, whatever was left there, because it didn't seem like there was anything left on record, and they're saying we're willing to move forward and repost whatever.
Okay, so
Was
this
not
is,
complete.
this escrow is with respect to improvements that are required by the plan but have not yet been constructed.
Correct.
Okay. Can you send me maybe those old minutes or something to give me some details?
I'm-
See what we need.
They just reached out. I will get with them to finalize what we have as items to be completed, so that way you can have the final improvements of
Are you gonna, is there gonna be a little spreadsheet in that,
Yep.
like we typically have?
Yep.
All right, so we'll just do a little improvements agreement with those improvements that you're gonna identify.
Yeah, I had the luxury of looking this the end of last week and kind of get caught up on it, so I'm just bringing it up now, so everyone's
I
aware.
assume the board is still okay with that? Okay. All right, I'll look for something from you.
Then I'll send it over to you. Okay. A little longer than I was expecting. That's all I have.
Okay.
Delinquent sewer report.
All right.
Looks like you're making progress.
Well, I think Jen is the one who's probably been making progress, trying to
Good job, man.
clean up these issues that we discovered about people not being billed. So I think that in terms of action items, if letters have not gone out, and I think based on the email I saw, Jen, you could be in a position to send out some more letters
Yes,
by the end of the week or something.
yes.
So I think we should just have Jen send out letters to everybody on this list except for Lutz and Schaefer, who are in bankruptcy.
Okay.
And then see what responses Jen gets, and then at next month's meeting, we can talk about filing some fresh liens as a progressive step. So,
Sounds like a plan.
Now, there was the account 2104, which is on the last page for 5 Creek Road. That was one that had changed ownership. And they had reached out to Pam's, asked what was going on. They just let them know, I said, just let them know that it was incorrectly billed to the wrong person. They have agreed to remove the penalties and the fees. But they told me that they were gonna have a check going in immediately. They have not paid anything yet. They said they don't wanna do it indefinitely, they wanna give them a time frame. And I said, I would talk to you guys to find out how long of a time frame you wanna wait until the actual penalties start accruing.
yeah, because, I mean, if they weren't properly billed, then I think it's appropriate to give them a grace period to catch up. But now that they know about it, there definitely should be.
I would say till the end of the month. That's 45 days.
End of January,
What do you
okay.
think? It's not a huge amount.
okay.
That's 45 days.
And then after that, we'll start having penalties and interest.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I don't think there's anything else to talk about on that. Do you have any questions?
Nope. Anything else?
No.
Slow month.
Thankfully, yes.
Yep, nothing from Stackback, nothing on miscellaneous. Roadmasters report, monthly review. Anything outstanding for us there, Robbie?
Not really. Scott and I talked a little bit about getting some specs together for the roof project. We should be able to get some prices by next meeting.
Just for some clarity, I guess I talked to these guys, I didn't notice, but Richmond Road, what did you actually do there? I see you put like a skin coat on there.
Yeah, it's basically like a level, like a scratch coat, because it was, I'm sure you know, it was ditched real bad.
Yeah,
Basically-
I had noticed it.
Temporary, permanent fix. What happens there with the arborvitae, it doesn't get any sun,
Yep,
and with those voids in the road, it
Yep.
never melts off. So we had some money left over, and that's
so what did they do? Did they mill it out? Did
they sprayed tack coat down and then did like your normal scratch coat of what we get done on almost all of our roads when we get our paving work done.
So Folky did that, or who did that?
Full, yeah.
I was just curious, I just thought, Because it was later in the year.
Well,
Kind of
it was
surprised me.
kind of a last minute thing, and they were able to fit us in, and we had some nice weather for it to get done, so we took advantage of it.
Good. All right.
Before I forget,
Uh,
that Southview thing,
The creek,
anything on that?
the resident reached out to me, I don't know if you, I can't remember the name.
Fellow that lives where the shed is?
Yep,
Okay.
he reached out and kind of was asking too, and to be honest with you, I followed up with the DEP guy to try to get something in writing on that and just make it final, because he's kind of kicked the can away. He wasn't leaning the same way the county was. Druckenmiller seemed to be leaning, but I didn't have anything final in writing from him, but I think we kind of need to see where he lands.
They seemed adamantly opposed to putting it back the way it was. And
He seemed to have some reservations that he saw that as not necessarily disturbed just from where the creek was doing it, that this would need to be a restoration similar to near the road improvements, the culvert. I guess there was like gabion baskets and that used there, but that was what he had said previously. He kept saying he wanted to look into it further and see pictures and look at it, but I haven't really pushed on him on that one since.
Well, it's kind of, like that.
Yeah,
Well, who
it was around the
has,
holidays when I last talked.
who has the decision-making power? Is it DEP or is it
Yeah, it's-
Conservation District?
I think it was the type of creek permit that this conservation district doesn't issue that permit. It's the same one that issued whatever the emergency was.
Yeah.
They issued these permits.
So we gotta get DEP on board
Yeah,
or
basically.
follow their direction.
Conservation district has said, hey, we're okay with it, but they don't necessarily issue the permits that would be needed here.
Who knows?
It's the DEP, the South Central office. I think it's the Harrisburg office where they issue those.
Yes.
Conservation
That's
district.
from the Farm Bureau, I mean, from
Farm
the
Show.
Farm Show, yeah.
Conservation, Berks County does more than a lot of conservation districts do in the area as far as issuing permits and even NPDS permits. But there's just certain permits that they send to the central office, DEP central office for.
And those requests are there?
They have the pictures that we have from, we had sent this in once before, and it was kind of, Gary believes that DEP did not approve this part to be done the last time,
No,
although
No, they declined, they said no. It's a lot to do about nothing. It's,
So is that a Judy Schwank pressure to give us some help?
Maybe.
I reach out to her. She seems to be pretty helpful. But I need to have a little bit know what I'm talking about.
let me
If you could
see
just
if I
email me
can.
so she can stand on
Yeah,
the right
if
person.
there's a letter or an email from the prior request that said no, I mean, that would be the kind of thing that.
Yeah,
I
say-
believe I have that.
Say this is something really simple and common sense, or it's gonna wash this guy's house away, and the creek originally, we just wanna store it to its original path.
And I think the permits say, hey, we're okay with the top part, but they don't mention that.
Yeah.
So it's almost left unsaid in the original approval. And that's where I'm trying to push to try to get the answer specifically for that right now. And it
So
was-
can we make our own interpretation of the approval?
No, it's,
I wouldn't. Okay, no, I'm just officially that, I sent that comment.
No, there's a,
The one hesitation I had with trying to push him to put it in writing right away was, I was worried he was gonna approve it. But the last time we got the approval, it was a emergency permit, which gives you 30, 45 days. And the window we were hoping to get that answer for, we didn't get it.
but
So
it
when we did-
specifically called out that we couldn't go beyond that scope. We couldn't go further towards, we had to do just the
The
top
stream,
part, we couldn't do
yeah.
the bottom part.
You're right, it did say
Yeah,
that portion.
and I have that. I'm sure I can
Yeah,
put figures on it.
I think I might have it scanned in. I can email it to you.
there's a notorious case where Gilbert Township got into the creek above Bernhardt's Lake.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
And that's sort of the story that I keep in mind when questions like this come up about how much trouble you can actually get into. But I don't know if it was the EPA or they were in federal court. I thought it was a big issue. Costs a lot of money.
We don't wanna do that.
No, but maybe we got to, sometimes you got to get pressure from the top down.
No, but you got to shrink. That's another way to go.
Judy Schwank and the local congressman can push pressure from the top down. That'd be my suggestion.
Right.
So if you give me a review, then I'll address it with Judy. Or just something that I know when I'm kind of explaining pictures or whatever, say, listen, can I get some help here?
I think I have a whole binder of it, so.
Yeah.
That's it. Come up with magic.
Political. At least try. All right. Anything else, Robbie?
No.
I reached out. Did you reach out back again for Churchill Road? 'Cause it looks like they did scrape when the
I
drains.
did send them a message along with there's a sinkhole on Fleetwood Lions Road. They have a guy that covers the south side and a guy that covers the north side. I reached out to the south side guy and he said he was gonna reach out to the north side guy. So
It looked like there was they ran something down and
yeah.
opened up. I won't know until it rains.
I had asked them to clean out the gutters and the drains. So
Yeah. So I'll keep an eye on it. If I see it's not, I'll call them again.
Yep.
All right, Jen, payment of the bills.
Okay, general fund, we had check numbers 10755 to 10799, including EFTs for $131,949.90.
Make a motion with that.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
State fund, we had no checks. Light fund, we had no checks. Richmond Township Sewer Fund, we had check number 3039 to 3050, including EFTs, for $27,591.83.
Make a motion with that.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Walnut Town Fire Escrow, we did an EFT for $779.50.
I'll make a motion with that.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Virginville Fire, we did an EFT for $779.50.
And I'll make a motion with that.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
We are having our books for 2022 audited by Herbine. That's going to take place the week of February 27th.
Are you ready?
Slowly getting ready. Other than that, I have nothing.
Okay. Chairman's report, I really don't have anything. Public participation from the floor. All right, if there's nothing, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, we're talking about the roadways and culverts and that kind of stuff and jogging hungry wall. Gary went to some, one of those like, one of the dirt road grants that you can get and just send them around some of the things that have changed. And I think there was a roadway that
I wasn't there.
had some erosion around